Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, colleagues and friends, graduates and graduands and their families, today the University will award an honorary doctorate to Christopher David Addison. Sometimes the role of orators on occasions such as this is based on reading very worthy but rather dull biographies and CVs and trying to understand and interpret rather obscure scientific concepts. However, I have to say that the preparation of this short talk has been rather different and considerably more entertaining, watching DVDs and YouTube clips in the main. But first, some material from that other reliable source of knowledge, Wikipedia. Chris Addison was born in Cardiff. Interestingly, it would appear on November the 5th, which one can interpret as ensuring that his birthday is adequately celebrated throughout the country every year, or maybe as an indicator of the possible treasonable tendencies that have found fruit in later political satire. His Welsh residence was, however, short, and he moved to Salford near Manchester when he was 4. He was educated at Manchester Grammar School, and from there he ventured south to this university, where he studied English literature from 1991 to 1994. In his first year, he lived in Vale Hall and then followed the way of all student flesh to Selly for his later years. He admits to having spent a lot of time in the Guild, helped with Carnival, and did, as he put in an interview with Red Brick, a lot of society stuff. Clearly, from his reaction to the Vice-Chancellor's speech, he has memories, be they fond or otherwise, of events in this great hall in the past. Unlike many humanities graduates of that era, it would seem that the world of commerce and business held little attraction for him. And after his directing ambitions were frustrated, he began to be known on the Northwest comedy circuit, winning the City Life Northwest Comedian of the Year title in 1995. In 1998, he made his first of many appearances at the Edinburgh Fringe, during which he received 2 Perrier nominations, the first for his 2004 show Civilisation, and the second for 2005's Atomicity. He has been referred to by The Independent as the thinking man's comic, and his work has been known to include references to the periodic table, evolution, and anthropology. His career in stand-up comedy continues, and he still regularly tours and performs around the country. Indeed, in a week's time, he's due to be back in the locality to appear at the Lichfield Festival. Unfortunately, this is too late to be an advert. It would seem that the demand for tickets for this event has been absolutely huge, and all the seats in the 550-seat Garrick Theatre have been sold out. However, just to ensure our honorary graduand retains a sense of humility, it's perhaps worth noting that at exactly the same time next week, the Ukulele Orchestra of Great Britain will perform to twice that number in Lichfield Cathedral, including the present speaker. But it is perhaps for his broadcasting career that Chris will be known to most of us. This began in 2004 with the Radio 4 political satire The Department, followed in 2005 by The Ape That Got Lucky, and in 2006 by Civilisation, these last two being based on his Edinburgh Fringe shows. He has appeared on many panel shows, such as Just a Minute and The Unbelievable Truth. On television, we find him as Oliver Ollie Reader, advisor to the Secretary of State for Department of Social Affairs and Citizenship, on The Thick of It. And he's, of course, a regular on Mock the Week. Then appearances followed as Dr. Alex Bieneman in Lab Rats, Have I Got News for You, and as a responsible adult in Skins. And of course, he's been the direct line insurance salesman trying to sell his product to more than unusually difficult customers. But his degree in English literature hasn't been quite in vain, and he has also written outputs to his credit. The column Funny Money in The Guardian, and there have been 2 books. Cautionary Tales for Grown-Ups, which was followed 2 years later by It Wasn't Me, Why Everyone is to Blame and You're Not. Perhaps these may ultimately become part of the English literature canon for undergraduates to study. So his career is indeed illustrious, but I feel it appropriate on this occasion to probe a little deeper into our honorary graduand's view of universities. To quote first from one of those YouTube clips I mentioned, Chris describes his unerring method for determining the status of a university. The longer the name of the university and the vaguer the location, and here I'm afraid I have to paraphrase in present company, the lower its status. But it is primarily in the TV series Lab Rats where Chris Addison's career touches on university life. Indeed, he not only acted in the series as Dr. Alex Bieneman, but also co-wrote it. I found that when preparing for today that the DVD of this series has been passed around the researchers and staff in my research group in an unmarked brown envelope for the last few months. But I was, I have to say somewhat reluctantly, allowed to get hold of it. On the basis that writers tend to write from their own experience, one wonders where the characters could have found their genesis. The ineffective and sometimes alcohol-sodden professor who's the nominal head of the lab, the rather vague and incompetent lab assistant, who very oddly seems to have a Birmingham accent, or the slightly psychotic lab assistants with a quest to punish all those who irritate him. The hard-pressed and hard-bitten laboratory secretary, the dean whose only focus is on money and harbours a thirst to cut resources to the lab whenever possible, or Dr. Bieneman himself, the hard-pressed academic trying to match all the competing demands of research funders, incompetent colleagues, lack of leadership and inept management. It is interesting indeed to speculate just where our Graduand met the individuals who were to provide inspiration for these characters. Enough. Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, for a career of invention and innovation, for his ability to work across and enhance many genres, but most of all, for making us laugh. I present to you and to the university Christopher David Addison for the degree of Doctor of the University, honoris causa.
By virtue of my authority as Chancellor, I admit you to the degree of Doctor of the University, honoris causa. Well done, Chris. Congratulations.
Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, graduates, graduands, teary parents who can't believe their children are this grown up. Weren't they watching Dick and Dom 5 minutes ago? And here they are now, guests, everybody. Firstly, to the back of the room. This is all to the back of the room. You people at the front, love you, not interested. The people at the back of the room. Huge congratulations to my fellow graduates today, the people who've actually done the hard work to be in this room rather than, as I have, just turned up and put a silly hat on. It is a genuine honour to be able to share your day. I can't really explain, which seems to me to suggest you should possibly take the degree in English back, but I can't quite express how much it means to get this extraordinary honorary doctorate from my beloved Birmingham University. I happen to work in a line of business that is awash with awards. Everything that you could possibly, BAFTAs and, you know, tidiest dressing room and least appalling comedian to be stuck in a car with for 4 hours on a motorway on a sunny day. I've coveted all of them, but never really in my wildest imaginings did I think that I would receive this, and it means the world to me. So, thank you. I tried to think about what I thought when I was last in this room 19 years ago, sitting in those seats where you are now. I tried to think about what I didn't know, and I realized it was an awful lot. And I thought that by way of a thank you, I know my time here is brief. I will be brief. I won't. I will be brief. It's very hot. We all want to go. I'm going to give you 8 pieces of advice, 8 things that I wish I'd known when I was sitting where you are now. These are rock-solid pieces of advice. Turn the degree over, write them down on the back. It will be the side that's most useful to you, right? These are rock-solid. I wish I'd known every single one of these things when I was sitting where you are now. Number 1, over the next few years, and actually, if we're honest, for the rest of your life, you are going to suspect that, unlike you, everybody else knows what they're doing. They don't. I'm not making a satirical point about the general incompetence of humankind. I really mean this as a practical piece of advice. Honest to God, I believe this so wholeheartedly. The universal human condition is the absolute conviction that you are going to get found out. There is not a human alive who would be surprised to get a tap on the shoulder and see a bloke with a clipboard standing there going, all right, we've seen you, come on, in you come, you've had your go. Even the Queen looks at other monarchs going, well, they seem to know what they're doing. I don't feel I've quite got the hang of it yet. Everybody thinks like this. You are going to be, in the next few years, surrounded by people with bright, shiny eyes, big, smiling faces, looks of determination, forging ahead in their careers with apparently no need for map nor compass. And they're not like that. They're not like that. They just look like that because everybody looks like that when you don't feel like that. Nobody knows what they're doing. And the worst of it is that because you feel it's just you have these questions building up inside you, and you don't want to ask them because you don't want to look like an idiot. You never look like an idiot for asking a question. You look like someone who's keen to learn. You look like someone who wants to get it right. Always ask the question. I swear to you, it will shave years off the amount of time it takes you to figure stuff out. And you know, if it was you and me and not these people here, I'd have used a different word there, right? But it will. Ask the question. Just ask the question. Number 2, if you think that the milk is off, you can't tell by sniffing it whether it's off or not. Under those circumstances, it will always smell off. That's not a metaphor, that's just general milk management. 3, you don't have to decide what you want to do yet. There's a huge pressure at this point, I'm sorry to say this, there's a huge pressure at this point in your university career when you're just about to leave from your parents and from careers officers that you should know what you want to do and you need to set yourself on that path and you better get on with it. And your parents feel like that because God loves them, it's their job to want you to be secure and safe, and they want to see you do that as quickly as they can for their sake as much as anything else. Careers officers, my sister-in-law is one of the top recruitment consultants in the world. She goes around the globe sourcing CEOs for multinationals. She says the following things. School careers advice is rubbish, and university careers advice is worse. Don't listen to those people. They're careers officers. I'm glad that they've got a job and a roof over their heads and their families are fed, but they're careers officers. What could they possibly know about getting a job, right? Don't listen to them. You don't have to do stuff yet. You can spend some time. I didn't start doing stand-up till I was 23. And at that point, lots of my friends, after we'd left university, were becoming civil servants and becoming teachers and lawyers and becoming accountants. And actually, ancient historians, there were even those people amongst my friends, right? And I felt the pressure to do something similar, but I also knew that I wanted to try and spend some time figuring out if I could do something that I really loved, that I had a passion for, and if that was a possible way to live my life. And I thought, all right, I'm going to give myself 5 years. And if at 28 this isn't working out for me, I'll do something else. And I'm sure I would have loved to have been a teacher. I'm sure I would have loved that. But I would always have thought, you know what, I wonder if I could have done something else. And now that I'm in my 40s, now that I'm in my 40s, I'm having conversations with the people that I graduated from in this hall who are saying, yeah, we kind of wish we'd done the same. And you can change your life at 40, God love. My mum, who sat there, became a doctor of English just before her 70th birthday. Sorry about the age thing, but it's important for the impressive bit. And you can change your life at any point, but it's so much easier to do it now. You've got the time. Don't ever think you haven't got the time now. 4, don't break up with somebody just before Valentine's Day unless you are happy to wake up on the morning of the 14th with them sitting at the foot of your bed, holding a present going, I bought it anyway, so I thought I'd give it you. It's the most terrifying thing that's happened to me since I was last in this hall. 5, an afternoon in the pub in good company is never wasted. 6, if it doesn't exist, build it. If the opportunity that you want, the position that you want to get doesn't exist, if nobody's prepared to give it to you, build it for yourself. It's so important. That goes for any walk of life, everybody. I happen to be in stand-up. That happens to be my background, right? And the nature, we were talking about this over lunch, the nature of stand-up comedy is as follows. People always say, God, I don't think I could do that. It's terrifying, standing up in front of people. It's not. It's easy. I'm a show-off. It's fine. That bit I can cope with. But writing the shows is terrifying because the process of writing the shows, the process of building something for myself, involves humiliating myself. There's no other way of doing it. I can't tell whether a joke's funny until I stand in front of people and say it. And quite often they make me very aware that it's not as funny as it was when I was at my desk. I have to look like an idiot. Failure is the price of success. If things don't exist, it doesn't matter if it's hard, build them for yourself. It was amazing to me when I first got acting roles, 10 years after starting in stand-up, that I would meet actors who would sit by the phone and wait for jobs to come in. That's no way to live your life. That's incredible. It's extraordinary to me that you could even do that. The most impressive, most successful people in my line of work and in any world that I've encountered are the people who've said the equivalent of, right, well, if no one's going to put me in a play, damn it, I'm going to write a play for myself. I'm going to put it on in a pub. I'm going to build something, you know? And so maybe it will come off, maybe it won't come off. But you'll build skills whilst you're doing that will stand you in great stead further down the road. If it doesn't exist, build it. 7, when you buy your first flat, don't paint the walls orange. It sounds fun, but when you've got a hangover, it is appalling. It's an appalling decision. 8, well, actually, there are 9 things I wish I'd known. One of them is I could do with a nice summer weight suit. But 9th, finally, you'll be pleased to hear. I wanted to make sure that I gave you a piece of advice that I knew was absolutely the best thing I could give you. And 2 weeks ago, I emailed everybody I know. I emailed the people that I was in this room with and all the people that I was to university with. I emailed all of the people I've worked with over the last 2 decades or so. And I said, what is the one thing? If you were giving one piece of advice to a graduate, somebody graduating today, what is the single piece of advice that you would give them? And actually, the responses were really quite moving. And I feel like I should put them on a blog or something because there's so much richness. There are so many other things I could stand here and tell you. But 75% of their responses boiled down to this one little 2-word idea that sounds so mimsy, that sounds so unmuscular, that sounds so un-go-getty that you don't believe it could possibly be the most important thing to remember. And let me tell you, it truly is. This is it. 2 words. Be nice. That's it. Be nice. It's the single most important thing that you can do in your life for other people and for yourself. Nobody in the world. That whole 80s thing, nice guys finish last, is nonsense. Because actually nobody wants to work with the people who aren't nice. Nobody wants to work with the idiots. Don't, as my friend Lauren said to me on Twitter today, don't date people who are rude to waiters. Right? Don't be those people who are rude. Don't be nice. Because everybody wants someone who is bright, who's attentive, who's nice to be around, kind, thoughtful. Don't slouch. Don't act like the job's beneath you, even though you're clearly cleverer than your bosses. Don't just turn up. Be nice. It will repay you so much. Not just in your work life, but in your life. Be nice. Be kind. Cynicism and snark are very fashionable, and I must take some responsibility for that fact, even if only a little bit. But the truth is, it may sound hypocritical for someone who works on Mock the Week to say this. The truth is, cynicism and snark lead you absolutely nowhere. Cynicism it dresses itself up as wisdom, but it's a dead end. It's an excuse for inaction. It leads to nothing. Don't get involved in it. Snark sounds like wit, but it's just exhausting. Be kind. Be nice. And your life will be so much better. I promise you. I promise you. And that is really it. Congratulations on everything that you've achieved so far. It's so moving to me to see what you've done. I know that it sounds so odd coming from me because sincerity is probably not something you've heard from me before. I find it astonishing what you've done. It's brilliant. Congratulations on everything that you've achieved so far. The very best of luck for everything that you go on to do. Remember, you didn't go to Aston. Remember, you got through 3 years without the Muirhead Tower falling on your head. And remember, as you go out into your lives, to phone home once in a while. Thank you.